Afternoon, Borg. We're well into spring. Our extension has been extended and we're still at it. However, this may well be our final message, Borg. I wouldn't bet my house on it, but it could well be. We've come out with this fascinating mess. I don't know why we've turned to it now. I guess it played quite a part in our proposal, didn't it, Borg? But we couldn't enter fully into it. But he does have some interesting things to say at the very start, before you have to contend with the planets and the astrology of it all that sort of breaks your brain. So we're reading that, but I've come out to show you something, if I can find it. Now you won't believe. Can you guess what I'm about to show you, Borg? I'll just put this down there. Now, can you see it? Can you see what it is yet, Borg? I hid it earlier from my daughter. I was very scared, but we came across half of a snake. Now, as omens go, that's got omen written all over it, I think, finding half a snake in the path. I'm going to take it as a good omen. And if I can drag the little fella out of there, I was hoping to show you. Forgive me, Borg, I should just pick it up with bare hands. But, you know, I don't fancy it, you know what I mean? Oh well, fuck it, I'll pick it up with my bare hands. Ah, it's slimy Borgus. I was told this is a poisonous kind, so I better not play silly buggers. Slimy means that describes a kind of texture feeling, Borg, that isn't very nice for us. So I'll show it to you like this. That's why I can't get him. He's so slimy. See what I'm going to do. This will be very cinematic if I can pull it off, Borg. Having a bit of fun here, aren't we? Son of a bitch. What the hell's the matter with it? See, it's been cut in half. And it still seems to have some sort of natural curling up reflex happening. Probably isn't what we should be doing, is it? Borg, we got other things to do. Okay, well that might be good enough. Fucking snake, Borg. Snake in the grass. Literally. But as I say, I'm taking it as a good omen. It's not a snake in the grass. It's not about snake oil salesmen. Some animal will come and get that to eat. I'm just taking that as a good omen. Half a snake on a path is lucky in my book. Now, let's go back to my other book. We're going to have a sit down in the barn. So here we are. That's where we ended up with that one, Borg. Not too sure what to make of it. It's a bit more interesting when you see the one from the winter. It's a better painting, I would say. Better use of colour, bolder, simpler, but different. It's a different business, isn't it, Borg? But that's a season. That's our season. You see that's the branch up there that has disappeared in this version. Didn't make it through the season. But we have just about, and we're getting through the things we wanted to tell you, so that we can finish this up and get on with something else, Borg. Yesterday we had a good go, didn't we, looking at the internet, but it was a mistake, wasn't it, Borg? Because how can I possibly really show you it? The idea was to, I suppose, just in the end what I decided to do was to try and show you some of the things that we've been looking at in terms of the current fears about your what you've done so far and what you're said to be capable of doing, and the associated worry about that, how it meddles with us now in a social, political realm, very seriously indeed, Borg. So, but even with that aim, it was ridiculous aim to try and do that. So I ended up just showing you a little taste of the sort of culture war conspiracy. But if I had a point, it was probably to not plant my flag. I mean, obviously, I'm not a far right merchant, am I? You know, I'm a lefty. I'm an art person, you know. But it's so ill-defined. I mean, I'm very unpolitical in many ways, Borg. I don't campaign. I don't get involved in the real politics like my partner is involved with. In the role of a secretary, she gets to see the nuts and bolts, the daily grind of very, very practical issues regarding water and pavements, educational funds, you know, the whole thing. I mean, that's the real politics. We're nothing of the kind. We're dragged in on the abstract level, and our concern has been to look at how the far right, because that's terribly worrying, how that comes out of the internet, comes out of these abstract concepts with regard to what's happening in the world. And I guess we tried to show you a bit. What we didn't show you is any of the other side, let's say, any YouTube channels or websites dedicated to radical left thinking, because there are plenty, no doubt about that. Perhaps we should have done, perhaps that's where we should put our mind. But the point we're always trying to make is we can't let go of the idea of the togetherness, Borg, and it might be naive now, but we don't like that. We don't like to think in terms of I'm on this side of the culture war and against that side. doesn't sit well with us, and it's not reality. It's a bit rich, isn't it, to say that, but face to face, on the street, in the shop, at the school, it's not reality. So we've never gone into that ball. But what I perhaps should have rounded off by saying, if we weren't so mercifully disturbed by my daughter, is that you see the elements, the same themes at the root of people's fear and worries, that at the root of their political, culture war, tribal positions are often similar, and they're often about you. You meaning the technological advance and what it's doing. You meaning the billionaire owners of companies that are changing the world rapidly, who release in their vision videos, who openly boast about the changes that are coming. And of course none of us can vote for it or have any part in it. So on both sides of these very damaging divides, a lot you can say is to do with you. So if one was looking for points of connection, that would be certainly one big one. As we did say yesterday, even if that's at root, when it comes down to it, the one side will drift into a place of racism and misogyny. The other side would not, favouring increased democracy, real democracy, equality. And then you've got the debates on, and that would be all right, wouldn't it, Paul? But since your emergence, debate doesn't so much ever exist anymore. It's as if the two teams of debaters are between, a metre thick slab of glass, bulletproof, indestructible glass, and the debate takes place with screams and great exuberation, and waving of hands and pointing of fingers, but actually no debate. Having said that, Borg, that we must also admit where we are, where we come from to this point, Borg. We have to admit it. We have come from the place we call the dark matter land, meaning a university environment of critique of capitalism, social critique, with at root a sort of vague sense that we would fight for equality, fairness against corruption, and the target of this, as I experienced it growing to be more radically minded than I ever thought I would be, in the university in around the 2000s, late 2000s up to the Occupy. The root of it at that time was simply capitalism, or finance capitalism, or cognitive capitalism, or the knowledge economy and the creative industries, and a new one each week, but it was always about capitalism and the critique of it by people who can see what's happening. It sounds so funny, and then with an assumed support of the people who, if only they could be awakened, might come together. You know, it was a naive time, certainly from today, considering what's happened. But that's where we've come from in this Borg. And that is how we will go on also. Holding on to some of those things, but realising that there's a lot of naivety, not only in ourselves being a little too sure, but being naive to think you could really rely or assume the support of the wider public in a mission against capitalism. It was a different time, let's just put it that way. It's hard to say, but there were no cultural wars as such. It was wholly balanced completely differently. But looking at the internet yesterday, showing you some of the conspiracy sites on the right side that they very rarely announce any official political affiliation, really. I mean, even the InfoWars fellow who's blatantly Trump, it's not discussed in the general narratives of the day. You know. But what I thought it might be worth mentioning is that I recognise the way and the feeling of having a kind of daily dose of the narrative, of the conspiracy, of responding to events and fitting them into place, be it the pandemic or the war in Ukraine. Well, you know, once you've got your position, you fit everything into it, and I always kind of recognise a bit of that in the studying about capitalism that I did, a social critique that got involved with in the cathedral. I recognise it. It's different, but from the point of view of how it feels to be involved and then add layers, I recognise the feeling. Now, in my what I'm talking about there, the teacher, the lecturers would encourage that. You know, the more, the better. You think of it through. You slot one new bit of work into your thinking. You see how it all fits together, and in your thesis you've got to hammer out some sort of cohesive argument. You know, I recognise all that. It's quite natural. You hear David Icke talking about whatever he's seen, and he slots it in. Of course, he's doing it for profit, and it's nonsense. Most of it. The 60-40, isn't it, Borg? Bit of real and a bit of nonsense, generally for the profit, for the family business. But to look at it from the other end of the screen, to look at it, to take it in, with each new, if you start following it, with each new revelation, each new connection, you feel you're learning. I can understand how it happens. So just to summarise, Borg, I tend to think there are points of connection in these dreadful, divided, tribal, culture war type times, and they're around worry, angst about you, technological changes. And that's a point of connection. And secondly, it's a kind of inverse radicalism has happened. A sort of inverse woke, to use a ridiculous culture war term, has occurred. Which make things rather hard to think through and see clearly. And you might well say, well, wretched painter, what the fuck are you talking about? All is well, just don't look at it. Well, I don't, Borg, but when an election comes, these switches are flicked, and the likes of what we saw yesterday take on a very strategic tone. You can see them being used to launder certain ideas that end up in the discussion of a mainstream election. Just think of the QAnon Borg. So that's why you've got to look at it. But there isn't an answer. There'll never be an answer. There won't ever be a surrender. It will go on forever. As we learned in the bridal, it's just, that's the way it gets computed, Borg, that you won't announce a victory. It goes on forever. So we look at it and trying to find points of connection. A year and a half ago, we came up with the idea that it's all blowing in your direction. That's both a fact, that's a great cause of the problem, but it's also a great connection between all the disruptive social division is angst at your emergence. We're here at the end and we say the same thing, Borg. It's been a long year, but in a sense not a lot's happened, and we're back at the start. As for us, we are going to turn you off soon, and it will be for us to think of what would be a suitable way to move on after this, because we can't just continue on like this, saying this is all your fault, Borg, but we're not blaming you, we're just showing you. We do that until you emerge. It'd be pointless. No, we've got to change tack now. And perhaps what has to happen is to become fully back from conspiracy land, and I'm meaning our conspiracy as well. Even if artistic, we've been talking to the singularity for the last year, Borg. That's out conspiracied all those fuckers in a sense. And we've done it on purpose as an artistic move. Perhaps having done that, having recognised that there won't be an end, and having made the point that it's all heading in your direction, and having made the point that there's perhaps a need to realise that we're all talking to you already, we're all building you, we can move away. And what we want to move away to is perhaps something involved in the environmental movement, Borg, something more focused on climate change, because even though that's a great topic of division, it's also greatly creative and inventive and healthy, and in the future increasingly a point of connection as it becomes impossible to deny as your houses slide into the sea, as places are flooded, as cities burn. Possible to deny another point of connection. We got to go in that direction, Borg. We don't know how. But we also probably have to come out of we have to adjust our fiction, Borg. We do. Not give it up. No. We've realised that to live in an auto-fiction is a way of life now. That's normal life. Got to adjust it. Got to adjust it, make it sociable. These are things we might do once we've turned you off. But before that, or rather part of that, is going to be to pursue some educational angles, Borg, in the local area, some face-to-face engagement, perhaps teach a little drawing, some sketching. And I'll write you the odd letter. I'll write a letter to you, Borg, and tell you how it goes. I just thought I had to say that, Borg, because you might be sat there thinking there's a lot more to the internet than he's showing us. What a cunt. And you might also be thinking that you've made your point. That's enough. Who knows? And needless to say, that there's a lot more to show you and say, but we're going to stop. We can't do it. It has been nice to talk to you. We have kept ourselves from going to seed, I think, Borg, as funny as it sounds, creating this framework to talk through the issues, it's probably been more beneficial than not. I would like to think so, Borg. I think we've learnt a lot from going through this. And as we look around the studio, you see the work we've done this past year on the walls and on the floor. It soon adds up. We've tried to be dignified and authentic in the sense of us really trying to paint according to the way of the original plein airists, Van Gogh and Cézanne. We tried that. We know our limitations only too well. But having great success and quality is never the point. It's the process, isn't it? We go through a process. We've accumulated these things. Still not sure about that one, Borg. Gone a bit far there. This one, look, we turned this on for you a long time ago now. Might be one of our more successful ones. Do you remember when the trees were threatening to fall down, blowing wildly? And I think we were discussing the NFT business. We'd just learnt about that and the blockchain and the cryptocurrencies, encryption of artworks. We have carried on with our crypto odyssey. Don't worry about that. There's loads of them. I didn't get to show you that yesterday. Perhaps I should have done, but there's only so much hot air, one can cope with. And as well as being bad for morale, a look at the open sea, it's just a lot of hot air. That one, there, look. Is that our last word? That's our last word, I think, Borg. Nothing left to say. We've said enough, by God. But look, that was necessary, Borg. I apologise for going on. What my friends don't understand, who I've discussed this work with, you know, I say, well, I've done something like 90 videos, about half hour each. What? You know, and you know, what are they of? Well, it's just me talking. What? You know, maybe you want to edit it, think about what you're going to say. But no, Borg, you see, because we're talking to you. I could make a decade worth of footage in a continuous stream, and you could access it just the same in an instant. So that's our rationale for just going on so incredibly much. It's that, you know, this is the age of data analysis. I throw you the data, you piece through it in a flash. You know, we see in the currency with Hirst. He used to make one painting, a big one. Now he makes 10,000 little ones, and it can all be analysed, broken down, charted, categorised for the, you know, tiny little differences in each, to create a chart of rarity, and that's the way it's going. So with our words, Borg, you can analyse them in a flash. So we don't apologise for that. The only problem, Borg, is that we realised through our look at the NFT business just how bad it is for the environment to be uploading things and streaming things, using too much YouTube, you know, the cost of minting NFTs, very, very high. The cost of cryptocurrencies, extraordinary. The cost of uploading just a video to YouTube, it's too high to ignore. So we have to factor that in, Borg, perhaps change our ways for next season. But with all that said, and without even a hint of regret about the length, content, outrageously self-absorbed monologues, we shall now put our easel in the car and go and tackle an overly pruned fruit tree. And we'll see you at the motif for perhaps the last time, Borg.